Here comes the countdown. Good evening, everybody. How is everyone this fine evening?
Doing great. How are you?
I thought you had like a moratorium on your speaking for some reason.
No, I was letting you finish because sometimes with the nature of all this, there's a little bit of a delay.
For sure.
You want to make sure that I don't want to stomp on. You were immediately going to launch into the aristocrats or something like that. I wanted to make sure to give you some breathing room.
I tell you the funniest joke in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, how's everybody this evening? Are we all well? We seem to be missing one.
Yeah. I heard Frank is not well.
Yeah, Frank has got some sort of, I don't know if it's food poisoning or a bug.
Plague.
He never should have ate that bug. It gave him food poisoning.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you always want to cook your bugs to 140 degrees.
That's right.
Minimum.
You've got to get one of those food service like
bugometers,
thermometers, thermometers, and just you slide it in there, and you're like,
make sure you get to the center.
Does anybody? Are you just having visions of Starship Troopers here now with like the big brain bug?
Oh yeah, where it like
where it's got it sucks the brain out.
Yeah.
Oh look, it's scared, and then they just kill it.
Yeah, it's like
that's humanity in a nutshell.
Yeah. Here's it's so dumb. It's like the whole thing of like the bugs like bomb Earth, and it's like you can see that this is coming for like forever. It takes. I mean, it's like it's moving so slow.
Yeah.
I mean, but they're able to just fly there in like not much time at all.
Yeah.
What's just stopping them from just like, okay,
Nothing.
We parked a ship, to like get in the way, and now it blew up in space, and it didn't matter.
I can tell you exactly.
I'm certain
the script,
the book,
Ron, the script.
Yeah.
Well, also,
I was hoping you were going to say that the book goes into more of an explanation.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But also, if I'm not mistaken, the attack on Earth was a black flag, false flag attack. It was the humans bombing themselves to be able to go to war with the bugs, isn't it?
No,
I thought that was the whole premise.
No, you're thinking of Heidelman's Forever War.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought
Ask
for
me
a
about
second
science fiction.
I thought you were going to say the history of the United States
for 1,000, Bob.
Yeah,
I think that's what he based his book on.
But you know
what's
what's great?
A Vietnam War vet, so you know
what's fantastic though.
What
we've created essentially time travel now.
Oh,
because I woke up this morning and I thought it was 2025, and then I turned the news on and it was 1939 again.
Yeah.
So
I thought it would take longer for us to go all the way back on that, but
yeah, it's not 33. It's after the election. So
the prices on Argentinian real estate must have come way down or something to make this possible again. Yeah,
but we digress.
But I kid about all the people whose lives have been turned upside down.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things. You gotta, if you don't laugh, you cry. So
yeah, it's true. Let's talk about something.
Let's talk about some fun,
uplifting,
something else.
Well, actually, why don't we see who we have in the chat first, just to say good evening to people.
Oh yeah, the chat.
Looks like we've got people Snoopy was here first. So hey, Snoopy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have Dave from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Hey, Dave.
Yeah. Hey, Dave.
The Tech Knight is here.
Yes.
Hello, the Tech Knight. Some interesting stuff happening now. Not to be sad, but there's some really interesting stuff happening with the weathernetwork.com, and all the NOIA data now is going to be proprietary. And anyway, there's some weird things happening.
Yeah, there's some strange things afoot at the Circle K.
Yeah. Sloopy's here, Thomas Armstrong, 1Bit's here, hey 1Bit, and I'm just going to call him 386SX is here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perfect.
386, yep. Very cool.
I am always Ryan. This is always, over that way is Ron and Eric. Hello, everyone.
Just remember, you just point the opposite direction, not up and down, but left and right. You just Just remember, you gotta
Elbows up.
stage right.
That's a Canadian thing. But you're close enough.
I'm close enough. I'm
You're
Canadian
Canadian by
adjacent.
proxy.
Yep.
Yes, I'm Canadian adjacent.
Speaking of uplifting and interesting things that have happened in the news recently, I heard today that there's going to be a clean slate when it comes to electric vehicles in late 2026.
Yes, some very exciting things coming out of America.
Which part of America?
Yeah.
I think actually, I'm not sure. Are they being manufactured in America?
I think that as much as you can.
Okay,
but the big thing is this: for people who didn't read the announcement, there is a venture that everybody's favorite book reseller, Jeff Bezos, invested in that is called Slate. That they are basically selling super cheap. Trying to make good on the promise of the sub $25,000 electric vehicle, purely electric vehicle, not hybrid. And
does it come with wheels?
It does, but that's the thing is
they're subscription only.
Yeah, it's a very no frills. Like the base package is just does not even include a stereo. Manual windows. The dashboard is all knobs, which appeals to a certain subset of people.
That's very apropos because the main investor himself is a giant
total
knob.
But it's I think the base model has 120 or 150 miles or 125 range, so that way you can for people that are just like, I need a vehicle. Oh, and unlike some other trucks that are cyber that were recently put on the market, it's an actual truck. Yeah. Like the bed of it holds an entire sheet of plywood.
Yeah.
So more multiples, but the footprint of it is a sheet of truck plywood. Yeah. So
you don't have to fold the plywood into 8
origami
sections.
Plywood is no longer required.
No, you don't have to ask the guy at Lowe's to cut your sheet of plywood in half and then sell you wood glue so you can put it back together when you get home.
Wood glue and biscuits. Yeah. And then buy a biscuit joiner and a big clamp. Mm-hmm. And by that time, you just hire somebody to do it who shows up in a real truck.
I know. But the idea is this. So you have a small business. And I think that like a lot of the like the appeal of this is what are the Keys car? Or what are those?
K cars.
Yeah. K car? Yeah. So it's people that have wanted to get a K car in the US, which a smaller, like if you live in a ritzy place, some of those places have been like, oh yeah, we got local ordinance. You can just drive those on city streets and insure them like regular vehicles and all kinds of crazy things. Yeah. That is not a majority of the United States. So it is kind of nice to have a small vehicle that is that is still like a truck, because they don't make those anymore. There was a point like kind of where we stopped making those. Like you see all those dots,
mini trucks, they're gone.
Yeah, those little Datsun trucks or stuff where it's just like, I don't need a huge truck. I just want to haul a couple things.
I have this argument. It's funny. I host an automotive podcast. I'm a producer of it. We actually had this debate in two episodes ago about what constitutes a truck. And one of the things I said was that 90% of truck owners out there don't need a truck as big as they have.
Yeah.
Right. And this would definitely fit a portion of the weekend warrior truck owners.
And the nice thing about it, by design, the body panels, all the molding, everything is plastic.
It's Fisher Price.
So if you like, man, I drug the door down the pole or something on job site, you can just pull the panel off, buy a new one, and slap it on.
And the other thing,
the whole thing is it's supposed to be user serviceable. Everything about it is supposed to be user serviceable. So like warranty claim stuff, like as soon as they get their infrastructure kind of built up, the idea would be that you could take it somewhere and get things done if you wanted to. But as an option, if you are someone that is like, I don't have 6 weeks to wait and drive 200 miles in the Midwest, like 200 miles to go to the dealer to do something. Yeah, we'll just send you the part, and you can just do it. And here's a schematic on how
it's
to
like
do those
Lenovo
things.
tech support. They do they'll send a tech to you, or you can just get the part yourself.
Well, here's an important thing. With a range of 125 miles, it would take 2 days to get to the dealer, for one.
Yeah.
And that extension cord is really heavy. So
yeah.
The other thing is Amazon going to deliver them by drone? That's what I want to know. Are they going to airdrop them into your parking?
No, I feel what's going to happen is they're going to come from the factory full of Amazon packages as they get to your house. The person delivering it is going to be using them to deliver packages, and then they're just going to drop it in your driveway and take it.
You'll be the last stop.
Yeah.
Or they'll be like, "Hey, can you just give me a ride back? Let's plug this baby in."
About 8 hours.
They'll have remote, drivers that drive them.
But going back to what you're talking about, to have very basic vehicles, I think America and Canada and has lost the plot when it comes to cars. I love and I'm a huge car guy, but I'm also a huge tech guy, and I hate tech in cars. Like, because it in my mind, it dates a car and it makes it so easily disposable. Like all these things with the big tablet screens, that in 5 years, they're just going to be like, it's
the software updates are going to start, and that's going to be it.
Right?
I am a fan of CarPlay. I will say
CarPlay, yes, 100%.
But
CarPlay can. But again, I don't. How long is CarPlay going to be until the Apple goes CarPlay 2 doesn't work with CarPlay 1?
Well,
right? Like,
if you think about it this way, CarPlay as the whole thing of like, oh, it's got CarPlay, is that it's a function of the operating system within the phone, or within the device you're plugging in.
It's just
so as long as you have, it's just a secondary screen, but it's optimized for that. Just optimized for that small interface there. And I know not everybody's into that. A lot of people live in places where you can just have your phone and it's on a holder, or it's like and that is very much like what the Slate is going to do. It has a holder with a USB-C connection, with a little squeezy holder, like Joe, exactly. And you just put it in the squeezy holder, and that's it, and that's your phone, and that's it. But it's like, the car does not have speakers, the car does not have power windows, it doesn't have any extra stuff. It is kind of like the International Scout, where it was just like, here's like a very basic vehicle. You can buy these without doors.
It sounds like my Volkswagen Beetle from the 70s that I had.
4 bolts and the engine's out.
Yeah. I hope it's that simple.
I do too.
They have a frunk that I guess is not watertight.
No.
Or I'm sorry, is not 100% waterproof. So it's not like I would put like my fine collectibles, don't put those in there, because it has a
all my Apple Tams are going in there.
Yeah. So
I guess I'm going off road.
Yeah. So the idea is that you can still do something. You can throw some things that get dirty and stuff.
And if they were smart, they would put a drain plug. They put a drain plug in the bottom.
It has a drain plug,
so you can fill it with ice, and now it's a cooler.
And I think that's
perfect.
Right. So you go to the beach, you got your cooler. Right. The big thing that I saw is that they announced they're not doing a dual motor setup, so they're only rear wheel drive, which means some of the packaging they're showing is like these off-roady sort of like Land Rover Defendery type setups, and I'm like, that's great, but it needs to be 4-wheel drive. So hopefully they can add an extra motor without and the added batteries without adding too much in the way of cost.
There you go. You unplug the front axle.
You move it to the
new one.
Yeah, just drive everywhere in reverse. You're all set. Do it red-green style.
Yeah. But it's pretty exciting. One of the things that I thought was neat too is kind of like the Saturns back in the day, if you remember Saturn.
Yeah. They're a different kind of car company.
Yeah, some of the plastic panels, the paint and color go all the way through the plastic. So even when you scrape it, it's not that bad. Right? It's not like you see bare metal or you see a different color plastic. It's apparently going to have color through the plastic.
Yeah. So I know that there are a lot of people. I am not of an opinion on this. So it's sort of like putting stickers on things. When I was a kid, I was the kid that would go to the Scholastic Book Fair and buy the Ghostbusters like a read along thing where it's like it's a picture and it would be like 6 sentences per page.
Yeah.
And at the back there was like stickers. I always bought that stuff, would never put the stickers in anything because I was like, I don't want to, if I use it, then it's gone.
Yeah.
Now I am just like, you just put the stickers on shit and just get on with your life and just enjoy things. But yeah, but the whole thing, like with cars, like cars are losers.
Yeah.
You know, I know that there are a lot of people that really enjoy car culture and really like cars. And I look at cars like they are a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It is a means to an end. I need to get somewhere.
I
want to, yeah. So it's like, if it is just like a utilitarian kind of, here's what I really want. I want a bus that comes by the front of my house so often that I don't even need a bus schedule.
Right.
And I want high-speed rail that takes me in between the places that have buses. Yeah. That's what I want. I don't want the cost of ownership.
You want Japan.
Yeah. Yes. But I want it to be like 2000 Japan, not 2025 Japan.
And when they when the bus is late, you get a signed, personalized letter from the bus driver
from the
apologizing.
Yes. Yes.
When it was 23 seconds late, and you get a. Yeah, and in car culture, like I'm a huge car guy. I've got lots of vehicles. I love the culture, but I also understand their tools, and I have some cars that are tools, and some cars that are more my pride and joy, we'll say. And I look at it the same way some people look at cell phones. I don't really care as long as it makes a call and takes a decent picture. That's the extent of what I care about a cell phone. Some people are all, oh my God, you got to get a new one. It's been 6 months since you bought I'm not like that. So to each his own, I understand. Live and let live. But something like this, if it could disrupt, and again, the other side of it is these vehicles exist elsewhere in the world. It's been the protectionism towards the automotive industry in North America that has made us have to spend $100,000 on a truck. And the fact that essentially it should be a race to the bottom for most vehicles at this point. Especially when you look at the cost of everything is basically robotic. There's lots of automation in car manufacturing now, so they should, in theory, because you look at the same automation was applied to computers, and computers are dirt cheap today. So why aren't cars? So I think if you look elsewhere in the world, you can buy a $10,000 or $15,000 Toyota pickup truck that is bare bones, 4-wheel drive, nice little diesel engine, works great, reliable as all heck. But we're not allowed to have them in North America because, protection.
Well, sometimes you're the tool.
Yes.
And not the car.
I am the tool, yes.
Depends on the car,
Yeah.
Nice
so I want something that is low cost of ownership, like it's just going to get you around and hopefully has low operating costs and things like that. And so I like the idea of it started at 20,000. Like the press earlier today started at like a $20,000 price point, and then it very quickly went to like 25,000. And then people were like, "Well, you understand that if the government does away with the government of the United States does away with the kind of like the incentives for those things, that it will be closer to $30,000 now." And I'm like, okay, we have now made it much less desirable.
But I will also say that it's not $100,000, which is where we were 5 years ago.
Right.
And what about
where we are with the Cybertruck, right? Like
in 5 years, what's the used market going to be like for them?
That's the thing though, batteries.
Yeah.
Well, you replace the battery.
Here's the thing.
Good luck.
In North America, assuming they don't rip the department apart, in the US, you guys have a mandated 8-year warranty on batteries now. In Canada, we have I think 8 or 10-year warranty mandated. So the battery has to last at least 8 to 10 years. And again, you're going to see lots of little places pop up. And again, I'm not an EV guy, but I know, necessity is the mother of invention. And people see businesses where they can, if there's money to be made, people are going to start a business. There are going to be people who, 20 years ago when the Prius first came out, the batteries could only be replaced at the dealer and they were stupid expensive. Now there are hundreds of places in the United States where you can get them to rebuild the individual cells of the battery for pennies on the dollar compared to what the dealer charged.
That's true.
It's going to happen with the EVs.
It will. That's a Toyota product though. Well, no, that's a Toyota product. And I can absolutely see that. But I promise that on the brand that is based on you having some sort of like favorable opinion of Thomas Edison's rival in the electricity race in the United States. That company, I promise the rebuilt ones, it will be, oh no, there's a date on this and it will not be good. And or we are going to set it to 25% mode or something like that. Or I mean, they literally just got caught speeding up the clock on the warranty stuff so that way that they don't have to actually pay warranty claims. That guy can be shot like straight to Mars like tomorrow.
If he
just
wants to
make
go to Mars,
it happen.
let him go.
You want to go?
Get in your penis rocket and
go. Leave me be.
Yeah.
But I, and I think the more, I mean, we've seen that historically when we have companies that are anti-repair, anti-customer based.
Mm-hmm.
When other companies come up and are a pro customer and are pro repair, they get the shit kicking, right? Like they basically will. The market should allow, assuming the market is not interfered with, should allow people like Slate or other companies that are going to make more friendly EVs to bypass, destroy Tesla, right?
Yes. Yep.
So we all
that's the capitalist way.
Yeah, and again, if we can and again, one of the things that'll make this really easy to do is if we start talking about some standardization for batteries, like the 18650 cell that I usually have on my desk here, but I don't. That's a great thing because it's standard, and if a lot of cars use it, then it means you can start replacing those cells or those individual batteries as they fail. And you can, it's a lot easier for repairs if you use a standard thing. Now Tesla's moving away from that because they don't want to have a standard, because they want to be the only game in town. So, if you're buying cars, people, don't buy Teslas. Buy things that are going to be more beneficial to the right to repair. And I hope Slate is. I mean, it seems like they're maybe moving that way.
It seems, at least on paper, no one has bought one yet. You can go out there, $50 down, put your name on the list, and you can change your. And it actually even says if you check it out later or something like that, it's fine. We're not gonna, we're not gonna take it personal. You're still invited to Christmas, kind of thing. But the
not kicked out of the family.
Yeah, it's like we'll see how things go, and I'm sure as time moves along. But there's a couple of videos you can watch on YouTube where people actually do a sit down inside the vehicle. They open things up. It's early days. There's a panel on the dash that they lift up, and one of the people even comments, they said be careful that this is a little fragile. So it's I mean, some of these, bye Ryan. So some of these parts and stuff are still being, oh, you turned it back on, right? There you go. Okay. So some of the stuff's still being worked out, but in the video, they actually open up the little panels on the dash and you can just look inside and there's wiring harnesses. So it's like, it seems as if, without knowing more about it, that it's like if you decide that you want to add something, because like I said earlier, where it's like, oh, everything's a knob or there's no radio, there's provisions to add those things. And if you go out and look at some of their sales materials, they're like, oh, if you want power windows, you just buy that module. So it would be, you'd buy the power window module and you'd buy a new replacement interior door cover, and it would cover up the hole where the mechanical or the manual window lever would be, and away you go.
Yeah.
So Eric, how many can I put you down for?
I'll wait until they're used, like I always do.
That's my thing too. Yeah. I drive a 2009 Nissan Cube, because it is just like, it's cheap to drive. It's starting to cost a bunch of money on insurance because there's not a lot of them still on the road. So
I was driving a 2005 Saturn Ion until some 20-year-old decided to take it out. But but it happens.
Well, I'm glad you're still here.
Yeah. It was, fortunately, it was not a serious accident, but a car that old, if it gets the engine compartment mangled, you're done.
Yeah.
So
there's torsion and things like that you have to think about, where it's like there's the fatigue of just driving a vehicle, and now you've introduced a bunch of physics onto that.
Yeah.
What
was
is
all
sheared
physics.
off? What is, what's
Well, I had a quote done, because in Michigan, if you don't have, I dropped PLPD last year. So there was no collision coverage. There's a mini tort you can do for $3,000 to cover expenses. Well, the quote came back, it was about $7,000. And I'm like, I'm not going to lowball this and have you only fix certain things. As soon as I got to the point where they said engine mount damage, I went, okay, never mind.
Write
We're
it
not
off.
going to bother. So, but one of the things I wanted to bring up, talking about somebody welding the hood shut on your car.
Yeah.
Let's hope this isn't like that. Synology.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
So we're gonna de-feature or whatever. We're gonna make your device stupid if you have non-Synology drives.
Yep.
And they don't make drives.
No, they're actually Western Digital and Seagate. They're just rebranded with their own custom firmware, and I'm pretty sure the firmware just goes, "We're Synology." There's nothing fancy there. It is literally we were just talking earlier before I had to go pee really quick.
I mean, take your time. You can get not on my account.
The whole idea of having like Tesla wants to have only their batteries and have a very battery technology that's just theirs. It's very similar to Hewlett Packard when they have the little chip in the printer cartridge, right? That's only their printers will only read their ink, and you have to bypass it by, essentially the act of bypassing it is actually a DCM Digital Millennium Copyright Act violation.
A DMC violation, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how they're getting people. And anyway, that's what that sounds like when you talk about the idea of welding your hood shut so you can't work on it yourself, or the fact that Synology is basically saying,
I mean,
our drives are nothing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of luxury car brands have had the hoods welded shut. Hoods are welded shut on John Deere tractors.
Yep.
There's lots of stuff they just don't want you in there because they got to keep you in that cycle of continually having to pay.
Which I find funny, because the most handy people on the earth, for the most part, are farmers.
Exactly.
Right.
That's why they all have junkyards.
Right. They keep their combines going because they do not want to spend $250,000 on something they can't work on.
Exactly.
Every
working farm I ever saw, I had a pile of junk somewhere that you used as raw materials to fix things.
Yeah. Be it literally raw, like sheet metal that you use for welding, or spare parts for an existing piece of equipment they have. Right. Like it's
a necessity. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to buy at retail and then sell at wholesale, you've got a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's interesting because there's been such a fight to right to repair the last few years, and yet some companies still, I don't know if they have blinders or if they are just doubling down on an existing internal mandate. But people like Synology. So, and this is one of the funny things we were talking about Synology a couple of weeks ago. Synology is for people who know they have data that needs to be backed up, but don't want to spend huge money on big servers, right? Yeah, you, me, and most people who own a Synology are probably fairly tech savvy. So it's not beyond our scope to go, I don't need to spend. The Synology is nice because it just works. But at that price with those drives, I'll just build it unraid, right? Or I'll just build a whatever, a TrueNAS, or whatever. I think they're going to alienate a large section of their user group by doing this, because big business is not buying Synology for backup. They're buying some bespoke product from Dell or from HP that's suited to their needs. Small business, again, we'll probably just buy some external hard drives and plug it in and use it on a CrashPlan or a Cronus cloud to do their backups, right? Again, other than a couple of ad agencies who are kind of techie, who probably would be okay with buying bougie hard drives, I can't see who's going to be okay with this. I just don't get it. And the fact that it's going to, apparently the update is going to brick older Synologies. Like it's a feature that's not available on older Synologies, but now it's going to enable.
What I read, it's only the new machines moving forward that implement this.
Because originally they said something about doing it to older machines, which maybe they got kickback from that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, last article I read, who knows until it happens, right?
Right. Anyway, it's foolish, absolutely foolish. Anyway, if you're interested, Unraid, I've been running it for about almost 10 years now. It's the best thing I've ever had for running like a home server, if you want to call it that, or a home farm.
Got a link you can drop in the chat?
Yeah, it's just unraid.com, I think. Unraid.net, sorry. It's not free. You do have to pay for it, but it's a one-time fee, and you have it for life. Their support is really, really good. The big thing I like about Unraid is that it does all the Docker containers. It has a marketplace for downloading community Docker projects. It just works. And it can take any amount of drives. So I just throw new drives at it all the time, and it runs, So on my, what do I have running right now on my, let me see.
Yeah. When I first set up a system to do this, I used Windows Media Server.
Oh, yeah. And that was just what you used.
Yeah.
So
you could just throw drives in it, and it would copy things to the drive between the drives.
So I've got 7 disks right now for a total of 34 terabytes in my server.
Wow.
And my Dockers that I'm running Radar, rclone, an SAB downloader, Sonar, which is television, Crash Plan, a OneDrive backup, which actually goes and pulls all my OneDrive out of the cloud and puts a copy of it on my server, Pi-hole, Plex, Transmission, and an Unreal Tournament server for playing Unreal Tournament. And then in the VM world, I have a Windows 2019 VM running, Server 2019, and the school's old SIS platform that we used. I use it as an offsite backup. So there you go.
Yeah.
I thought this was Old World Tech Fridays, not Old Guys Tech Friday. Hey, I resent that.
Is yes.
I resent that. I'm the youngest person here.
Well, don't worry, because I was letting you guys spin on because I kind of threw the car thing at the beginning, but I got something else that's really good when you guys are ready to
go for it.
On the next thing. All right. So, hey, people that still use the Book of Faces, have you noticed recently that a lot of the vintage computing groups, especially things that center around either Apple II or Macintosh stuff, have gotten a just deluge of scammers and people that are coming in that basically want to leverage these communities for, hey, what is this thing and how much is it worth?
Yep. So
and it used to be, at least in the old days, people would kind of join these groups and hang around for a little bit. But it seems like now things have shifted very much to I want to leverage your community's expertise, and then I'm going to turn around and list this on eBay. And there was somebody that I actually caught today was just using pictures from Facebook Marketplace posts.
Yeah.
And basically said something to the effect of, somebody was like, well, does anybody know what this is? And it was like, and I'm like, I've seen this picture on Facebook Marketplace because I look out there a lot for stuff. And somebody was like, oh yeah, that's like an Apple leatherette bag for the Apple IIc, da 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 da. Let me know if you want to buy, or let me know if you're selling it. And she was like, well, I don't know. I'm probably not going to sell it. And then immediately was like, I PM'd you. And
so trying to get.
So I'm like, yeah, we need to get this shit under control because it's going to pollute these communities to the point where they are no longer able to be used by the regular people. It's going to be a price check. They will all transform into price check groups.
Yeah.
So thankfully today there is a rather prominent group that's our friend Javier is an admin on. They made the bold step of now requiring people to specifically say that they are not going to leverage the group as a buy sell trade thing.
Perfect.
There are dedicated groups out there for buy sell trade on Apple II and Macintosh stuff, but the general groups where people are having conversations and things like that. Now, it's one thing if you're like, oh, you're somebody that's been in the community for 6 months. You're like, hey, I got like a whole box of stuff, like, as an estate sale. What's this thing? Does anybody know what this thing is?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Those people should be free to answer those questions. But much in the same way that YouTube has the function set up to where new people can't comment for 5 minutes by default, or new subscribers can't comment for a day or whatever you set it to. It's going to put a potato in the tailpipe of people that just are flyby, that want to just come in, ask some things, ask some pricing on things like that, immediately turn around, get some people in the group excited about whatever that thing is to try to sell it, and then scam those people, or just leverage community knowledge and then go somewhere and enrich themselves. So very proud of our community for making a bold decision today.
Yep, no, 100%.
So
we in my retro community, I have locally, we haven't had a real big problem with it, but I do have a rule there somewhere that says no selling unless authorized by an admin. And so most of the time they reach out to one of the 3 admins and say, hey, am I allowed to sell this? And I say, sure, that's totally fine.
Yeah, check in first.
Yeah, just check in first. That's all. Yeah.
And I think, and it also, the number of people that are getting scammed by, I mean, yes, if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. You're I'm not your dad. You can do whatever you want to do, but I do have a responsibility as someone who runs a community, or as somebody that is putting my name out there as admin of something, to create an environment that is not easily exploited by people that would do your communities harm.
Correct.
So that's why like Discord servers are on lockdown. People might be able to join, but you're not given roles until you are evaluated by the people that run those things, or you have forums that want to make sure that like an email address is legitimate or whatever, before you can start doing things. So we are very quickly getting to a point where if you want to have a community where people can buy, sell, trade, you're going and not have a reputation as a place that encourages people to get taken advantage of. You're probably going to need some sort of like,
moderation.
Well, the word I was kind of thinking of is sort of like a like vouch system, where it's this person, we've got a Google sheet, and these are people that have bought and sold and trade, and they can vouch, and so you have a community rep or a reputation inside that community for being a good seller. But I mean, how do you deal with people that's like, I got one item and I sell the one thing? But it's very easy to be like, oh, that person's been a member of our community for 10 years. It's so obviously
and the other step, I guess, too, is to make sure you use better payment systems as well.
Yeah, never
use PayPal.
Don't use Facebook Pay. Don't use
Venmo.
Cash App. I mean, you can use Venmo. Venmo's just fine, because you can go out there and click the thing, and you can say like that they will give you a refund if you complain.
Oh, that's a new feature then, because it wasn't at one time.
I'm sure. At one time, PayPal wasn't like that. You couldn't get a refund if it was if you spent the money. That was it. So
now with PayPal, person to person is not refundable.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So you have to.
But you have to specifically pick that. By default,
it's
going to be like the friends and family thing, where you're going to take on paying the fee and everything like that. So, but I think they've done a good job of educating people to be like, don't fall into this very obvious scam here. But the other part of that is, if you do buy those things online, you pay for those things, regardless of if it's PayPal, if it's WeWoo, or who knows, there's 4 million of them, wing wangs, whatever it is, make sure that it is not linked to your checking account or your like a debit card or something. Have it linked to something like a card that you only use for making those type of purchases, preferably something like American Express, where like for just your own financial health, that you have to pay it off at the end of the month. and they are no bullshit when it comes to like, oh, somebody did something to one of our clients. That's fine. Here's your money.
Yeah.
So you're not like having to fight with your bank to get debit money back.
Right.
You've got a multinational, a credit consortium that has just said, oh, well, we just cut the money off. There you go. You're fine.
Yep.
So.
Indeed.
Same thing with stores. Best Buy would sure love to sign you up for a Best Buy card. Pay for everything on Amex. Pay for everything on a MasterCard, something like that. Because again, if you got a problem, you're dealing with their. I mean, well, we investigated ourselves and determined that we did nothing wrong. So at least like put a layer between you and whatever that other thing is.
And one little sort of tidbit, little advice as well, depending on the type of credit card you have, at least here in Canada, if you buy something on your credit card, oftentimes they have perks like extended warranties, or they'll double the warranty on the product that you've purchased. So like I have one of my MasterCards doubles the warranty. So if it's got a 1-year warranty, you instantly get a 2-year warranty, and you deal through MasterCard for that, and they'll literally replace the device if it breaks in that second year.
Yeah.
So just a little food for thought if you're a little apprehensive about using certain cards. Check the ones that give you really good benefits like that, and always pay them off. Cool.
Very nice.
So speaking of purchasing large things, one of my little topics for this evening is, and I think I've asked you this before, but can you all check the cracks of your couches and the little under the cushions for some spare change?
Yeah.
Because Google is selling Chrome.
Nice.
Chrome is for sale.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, I think that they took it to that discount detailing store or shop, and they cleaned it with a Scotch-Brite pad. So it's
not really Chrome anymore.
It's so great anymore.
Luster.
Yes.
It's the browser formerly known as Chrome.
Yes, it's greatly diminished.
Greatly diminished browser.
You know what though? It's I'm not 100% certain how this is any different than the precedent set in Microsoft's antitrust case that now has them selling different SKUs in Europe, where it's like, okay, you buy it one way that it includes a media player, you buy it another way it doesn't, you buy it one way it includes a web browser, you buy it another way it doesn't, and it's fine.
I think it's because there's such a connection between the search and the browser that there is no real way to separate the two, I guess. Like Chromium has all the Google stuff stripped out, so they could just start giving Chromium away and just not call it Chrome. They kind of do. Yeah, and they kind of do. Right? So
Opera, I mean, everything. Yeah. What isn't Chromium based these days?
Everything is. Edge, Brave, Opera, everything.
There's one out there that's not. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. Netscape Navigator 3.4. That's 100% not Chrome based.
iCab for OS 9.
Mosaic version 1.
Links.
Links in the command line. Mm-hmm. Oh man, that takes me back. We were talking about the other day. I remember vaguely was checking my email in Slackware server back in like 1998. Was it the MUT command? MUTT? That was an email like client, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Safari is not Chromium. Nobody talks about Safari. Safari is the #1 Mac browser for downloading another browser.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's I know there's a lot of people that have gone all in on Safari, and it's just for the integration with iOS.
Sure. Safari on my Mac is one of those things I leave, like when I have 2 Microsoft accounts that I need to log into at the same time. I have one done in Safari.
Oh, that's right. Firefox is not Chromium.
Sure, Firefox is not Chromium. But basically, a large portion of the internet world is Chromium based.
Yeah.
Firefox.
Deadly Chromium.
Deadly Chromium. Don't breathe too deeply.
Yeah.
You'll get the polished lung.
Yeah.
With Chromium. I use Safari on my Macs because it's the fastest browser on Mac. I would agree. The one that I've been surprised with for speed on my Mac, and I know this is going to shock a lot of people, is Edge. I don't know why. It opens really quickly, and it seems really zippy. And I don't know if it's because I don't have a lot of stuff in Edge. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just not bloated down with all my garbage yet, but it seems to be very fast.
Yep.
So
there was something, and there was a bit of a conversation I caught part of the other day about Chrome and the memory leaks and stuff, especially when using like other Alphabet products.
Yeah.
So you end up with like, especially YouTube and things like that. You watch like a big long stream, and just like the memory usage on that tab will just go up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah, well, like I have Chrome open here now about 3 times with about 8 different tabs. Let's all open our task managers and see what it's doing.
Yeah.
So right now, Google Chrome is using 11 gigabytes of memory.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a lot of memory.
Very
and why is it not using 15? Because you haven't allowed it to have 15.
Yeah, I haven't. Wow, I'm so glad I put 64 gigs of RAM in this workstation. Chrome works perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube live streams. Apparently, there's a TechNight is saying there's a huge known memory leak. There you go. So yeah, no, that it's interesting when it seems like every 20 years we come around to a big Department of Justice type monopoly case, and we had. I guess, but I'm surprised Apple's never been. And maybe they are. Maybe they're currently going through.
Well, yes. There's something that just happened with Apple recently where there was like that you guys aren't allowed to keep doing that. I mean, remember, these are the jerks that fought like having to standardize the connector
USB-C
on there. You know what? I mean, I understand that they wanted a little bit of exclusivity for Lightning and things like that, but they were instantly cloned by every Chinese cable maker out there. You weren't making any more money. You might have at retail for people that are like, well, I only trust going to Best Buy for my charge sync cables. Yeah, you might have made like a little bit more money off those folks, but everybody else on the planet has already had this
Amazon
out.
Basic, add to cart.
Yeah.
Lightning cable. The other thing, speaking of Lightning and Apple, is the fact they still lock it, except for some of the higher end stuff on the iPads, to USB 2.0. Just give us USB 3 speeds, please, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Do you know how painful it is to transfer files off clients' phones onto regular? Like, it's just a nightmare.
Well, but here's the thing: they don't want you to do that anymore.
I know
they have at least given you a little bit of a provision where it's like, what's your old device, what's your new device? Just put them next to each other, and it'll use combination Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to navigate, and then copy everything and wipe the old device, and do much easier than it used to be.
Sure, but
it'll move photos, it'll move apps, or basically it'll put a token to re-download an app or something like that, assuming that it is compatible with the new device.
Well, that's the issue, right? Right, or if you're going to an iOS to Android, there are some apps that make that somewhat doable, but sometimes you just want to be on the safe side and grab a nice non-iTunes backup copy of everything that's on the phone, right? And anyway,
and Joe says, they want you to use iCloud, and it's not even so much anymore. It's I think they kind of realize that it's like we gotta pump the gas on letting somebody navigate over to their new device, because you can't go to especially these days. Somebody goes to the AT&T store, they buy their new device, and there is an expectation that the same lifetime that they start this process, it needs to complete. Like, people need to get on with their day. So I have seen people, there used to be like specialized little box that would sit there and it would like dump the phone and move it over to the new thing. I haven't seen anybody use that in forever. They're just they're just using the built-in functionality. And I'm sure they faced pressure from retail, pressure from customers, pressure from anybody that knew how to get a hold of somebody to complain, to have that where you've now got it where it's just a very quick and painless process. Use your camera, take a picture of this little swarmy cloud of crypto data, so that way that we can know that you're really who you are, and then let's move it.
And the other neat thing, or the other thing I guess you can think of is in the past 10 years, almost 20 years since the iPhone came out, how much data have we created that we didn't have on phones anymore? Previously, I mean, right? Like a phone might have a camera. It might be a potato cam, 640 by 480. You know, there was nothing great about any of those early cameras. But now, I mean, people are shooting 4K video on their devices, right? So we've definitely created a data monster, we'll say, that we now have to manage every 3 to 4 years when we get a new phone. Sometimes sooner.
Well, and in the old days, a lot of those phones, you had an option for like an SD card, never on an Apple device, but on your BlackBerry phone, your Palm Trio, your Motorola.
My Palm Trio took a full-size SD card.
Nice.
And we liked it.
Yeah. But just a way to move things around.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so painful. But yeah, in a world where it's like, oh, well, my old phone had 120 gigs of storage and I outgrew that. So now I need the new version with 512 gigs of storage.
Right.
You know, it's obviously you're going to need a fast and efficient way to get that moved over to that new device. People do not have, you know, like days to wait on those type of things. Right. And I have a friend that works retail and not at the AT&T store, but people love to come in and they love like cell phone stuff. And they're basically, well, how do I get my stuff from the old phone to the new phone? And they basically just have to tell them that's something you will have to figure out on your own, because a lot of people come in. It's like, how do I get all my numbers off the jitterbug? It's you got to power it up and you have to look at the old one. You have to put it on the new one. And they're like, oh, there's got to be a better way. There is. Once you get it on your new Android phone or whatever, you know, free with a $10 fill up at Texaco. Once you get it moved over, then you can. Now in the future, it'll be easier.
That was always the job of the SIM card, because the SIM card could store 250 contacts.
Yeah. But
we stopped doing SIM card swaps because back in the day you could just swap your SIM card into a new phone. But now when you go to if you still go into a brick and mortar store to register a phone, they're going to give you a new SIM card, and oftentimes you have to use the new SIM card.
Yeah. Or no SIM at all.
Oh, yes, if you're in the United States and have eSIM, we don't have that here.
Yeah.
Or sorry, I should say we have eSIM, but our iPhones still take real SIM cards, because not everything is eSIM yet. But yeah, so it's an interesting conundrum, I guess, to have, is to, especially, and I go back to the USB, because give me an example. When I was moving from this Android phone, from my Samsung Galaxy to this, it told me, and I did it, to put a USB-C to USB-C cable between the two devices, and it leveraged Wi-Fi and USB-C to move the data, and it was almost instantaneously, right? Like it transferred everything from my old phone to my new phone in about 4 or 5 minutes. It was very fast. So I do think there's still a need for fast connector ports on things.
No, I agree. And anybody that has shot video on their iPhone 15 Pro in ProRes and then needed to get that off to something else, if you're waiting on that to be synchronized up to iCloud, you had better not need that footage anytime soon.
Well, then you go like you look at some place in the United States. I mean, you still have terrible internet, so that's and I'm assuming you're not syncing your phone over your 5G connection. I mean, God bless you if you are.
There's a lot of people that blow through that unlimited data every month, just syncing their phone.
Yeah, that's actually good news for me. I'm finally moving into the 21st century.
You're getting a fax machine.
Be 2 broadband providers in my area instead of just 1.
So 2 of them to disappoint you.
Yes, but at least I'll have a choice between how I'm disappointed. So MetroNet's moving into the area.
Okay, and what do they provide? Are they
Xfinity
cable?
Is the only thing I have available.
So are they cable? Are they fiber? Are
optical fiber?
Nice. Okay, so you might actually
be. I could have 1 gig, 2 gig symmetrical, so 1 gig up, 1 gig down.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
I've just been prepping a new client that I picked up to helping them figure out their internet issues. And I found out that my local provider now does 8 gig. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad I found that up. So we're going to do 8 gig at their location for some cool, fast cloud access. But yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. It was like 8 gigs. Can you imagine back? Like I remember when we first got cable internet. I was probably 2000 or 2001. We went from dial up to high speed. And I say high speed with air quotes because the cable internet was only maybe 256K. But it was 256K down and 56K up. But man, we thought we were on the USS Enterprise. Like this was.
Oh, it was the bee's knees,
right? And then if that was, and I think we've talked about this before, and I don't want to rehash it, but it was the early days of DOCSIS 1 cable modem, and they didn't really do a good job of locking it down. And your cable modem was just directly connected to your computer with an Ethernet cord. So in my area, I could see all my neighbors' computers that were on. I could send stuff to their printers.
There were a lot of Windows NT 2000 servers that were running on my segment.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Tech Knight got ADSL back in 2001. He got 760K down and 256 up. Ooh.
Yeah. Hey, I was geeked when I got a 56K modem.
Yeah, our like I live too far out for DSL because they have like slicks and everything and line multiplexers and everything between here and downtown where the central office is. I had to wait for cable modem service to be available. We had the exact same thing where it was just kind of the Wild West, but there was a guy that I knew through other people who went in and uncapped his connection. It was basically sucking down like all the bandwidth that was available, and it was the equivalent to like a 10 megabit network connection. It really wasn't all that fast, but the I think it was $70 a month or something like that is what they charged for internet, and there were 3 packages. It was like a base package, there was the medium package, which everybody could afford, and there was a high-end package. The medium package was 768K down, and then like 5K per second up. Like it was really like they were very much encouraging you not to run a server or something. The high-end package was 1.5 megabit down, 256K up or something like that. It was pretty not great. But I think in all the time that we've been a customer, because I've still got the same service, that it is now just barely 100 megabit or something like that. They've never.
It's like 120.
So something. I think it might even be like 15 or something. 15 megabit up.
Yeah.
And it's like they still don't want you running a server or something, but that's fine.
Yeah.
We had our cable provider here in Newfoundland for the longest time was also doing data caps. I'm not sure in the States if that's still a thing, but here in Canada, they got rid of it because there were some rulings that said you couldn't do it anymore, and there was just competition. One of the main providers, Bell, who had fiber at the time, basically said, we have no caps. And then, of course, that forced everybody who was not Bell to also not have caps. But yeah, I remember there were like, for the longest time, you could get a gig service from one of Rogers or one of our cable providers, but it had like a 100 gigabyte a month limit. I'm like, that you burn through that pretty quick. I mean, that's 100 hours of Netflix high definition, and it's gone, right? Anyway, it's the FC.
Yeah, the way they get around it now is they just you hit the 1 terabyte monthly limit. We're going to slow your speed down.
Yeah. I mean, I've never, knock on wood, here at the house, I have 3 gig. It's 3 gig synchronous, sorry. And I've never had an issue. I've always I actually get slightly more. I get like almost 4 gig, just because of the nature of the connection, I guess. But yeah, it's never been an issue to have anything hosted here. It's still considered a home connector. And I think in the fine print, it says I'm not allowed to host a server. But again, our Unreal Tournament server and a remote backup for other things is nobody's going to question that. I mean, they're kids.
Yeah, that's just a peer-to-peer network. That's not a server.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Anyway, but it's interesting how fast things change but yet there seemed like a time there in the early, so from probably for me from 2004 to 2010, the internet speeds really didn't change. And then starting in 2010, it like skyrocketed to where we are now. Like, I think gig internet for me came out in like 2011, 2012. But up until that, it was all, 512 K or, it wasn't very fast. It was, you might have got 4 or 5 megs. It wasn't. And then all of a sudden one day they're like, oh no, we have fiber now. And now it's a gigabit. Like, what? When did that happen?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. They said called Metronet because I saw the guys throwing the wires onto the ground and,
Okay. So all the wires in your area buried, or are they on poles?
They're buried.
They're buried. Okay.
So they were marking out, the misdig, figure out where the the gas lines are, all that was going on.
Misdig.
I wonder what
misdig.
Huh? Yeah, they call it misdig in Michigan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, township is right across the street, and that's where all the action was. So I called the township first, and the woman I talked to was really, really trying to assure me that they would clean up after themselves and reseed. And I'm like, I don't care about that. I want to know what they're doing. So, and she told me, and then I thought, okay, well, and then I called the city where I live and got nowhere. So I ended up just calling Metronet because I knew they were a provider, and they're like, oh yeah, sometime in May, probably.
Nice.
So
6 months time is what you're saying.
What's that?
So about 6 months time.
No, next month, May.
No, I know, but
oh yeah, I get you.
When I deal with cable companies and big telecommunications, they tell me something's next month. It's 6 months time.
Yeah. 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. Okay, I'll see you at Christmas.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
You guys have, I mean, I know there was a big push down the States for broadband penetration, but did that ever go anywhere? Did you guys?
It's now been killed.
Yep, not enough lube.
Yep.
only got to the Midwest. Couldn't make it any further than that.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Just bottomed right out.
Yeah, it's if you live in like a high sort of population area, there's already some great things. I will say that the rural broadband initiative, it did open things up for a lot of people, but that's all over. All the funding for that is done because there were people like in my area of the world where the government was stepping in, where a lot of people were working from home, things like that, post-pandemic, all that. And it's like, oh, we have $35 a month credit on your internet or something like that. And so I took advantage of that. What I did is I just continued to pay the full amount of my bill for like years. And so I think I now own like a 10% stake in Spectrum, but I've got a parking spot at their corporate headquarters. I don't know.
Their CFO is like, would someone please cut this man a check?
Yeah,
his liability is too high.
Right. Like, if he tries to collect all this at once, we're screwed.
We're screwed. Don't tell the shareholders. They just call you.
I'd also like the interest that I would have earned. Thank you.
Will you take the payout in copper?
Yeah. I don't worry. I can just pull it straight from my house. It's fine.
Just cut it off at the other end, and I will pull it back.
Yep.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to it though, and surprise, my mother, who lives in a rural township in a next to a small town, she got it before I am going to get it. So
yeah, and here in Canada, the federal government sort of paid for Bell to push a fiber network across the country, but they've it's a bit convoluted. But now that they've technically it's a Bell managed product or Bell managed network, but they have to provide access to it to their competitors. So you have a lot of little upstart ISPs starting up now. So that's kind of cool. We've been looking at the paperwork and like, how do you do that kind of stuff? And it's pretty interesting. So one day it's funny, myself and my former business partner got in business almost 20 years ago. And we jokingly said we wanted to start an ISP 20 years ago. Maybe someday we will. Right. It's kind of fun how everything comes full circle.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're over the 1 hour mark. I don't know if there's anything anybody wants to show off. Maybe a new get from this week. Did anybody get anything cool? I know Ron got a new board done for his Pico Micro Mac.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've got one of those here. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
So I've got the before and I got the after here. All right.
The boon of mystery.
Yeah, well, for a long time I didn't keep, like, if I made something, I just sent them all out and that was it. And
you're like,
and then I was like, oh, wouldn't it have been great to be able to like look back and like see some of the stuff. So I've started keeping like one of everything that I do. But basically, there's a cool guy. His name's Evan. He made this emulator that's called UMac, which it's just the emulator that emulates a Mac 128, and it does like a bunch of extra things. And then he was like, oh, I'm going to port this over to the Pi Pico. And then he was like, oh, well, you can make like a board to kind of do some of this stuff. And hold on 1 second.
Yeah, you saw that message.
I just saw it. Sorry. Okay. So I'm bringing up Discord. Okay. But the and I'll show that off, Gutbomb. Very cool. But the so I made this original little board, not really in focus or anything like that, but it was just a very basic little design, and the whole thing of it was that it was just like a Pi Pico on a little board that basically gave you a VGA output. It gave you a way to charge things, and then that was it. It was just a little diode and stuff to make sure you didn't blow anything up. And then later, Evan added SD card support. So I designed like this little SD card header that you could just solder right to the top. So that way that I've got persistent storage and all that. And it's pretty neat. You can do some fun stuff with it. And so this was the product for a very long time. And then talking with Joe, he's like, Ron, this is a big pain in the butt to like solder this all together like all the time. And I'm like, yeah, you are correct. And so what I did is I redesigned the board, and we now have a 2.0, even though it actually says version 3. And that's kind of true because there were some little versioning on this other one, but yeah, this is basically the version 2 or the V3, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, but it's the same basic idea, only it puts it on a nice little square board that still has video out. It's still got the ability to pump some power into it, but it integrates the SD card into the design, so that way that if you are somebody that's like, I'm not really somebody that solders and stuff, it's now pretty turnkey. You can get just a Pi W, where it's Pi Pico W, I think, or Pi Pico H, yeah, because it's got the headers built in. You can literally just, you buy the board, you squish it together, and then you program it, and that's it. If you're not somebody that even wants to program the darn thing, Joe has a service where he'll program it for you, and just where it's just like the box comes and you just turn it on. Where do you plug in keyboard, mouse, things like that? For right now, you can use a
on the go
USB on the go hub, and just plug it right in the side. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of neat. But my friend and yours, Gutbomb,
he's no friend of mine.
Oh, sorry.
No.
We
should have a beef.
Hound dog.
Gutbomb, we have beef now. Just, I don't know why, but we do.
Can you add the thing I just... Okay, so this is Gutbomb just sent this to me. This is a new 3D design for a case that will work with this, so that way that you,
like an LC.
It kind of does. It kind of looks like a little box, but it's supposed to be more along the lines of like a Mac 2 Si.
Okay, yeah.
So it is just because that's it's a very stylish little thing. But yeah, this will be like a case option, and I'm sure that Gutbomb will be selling these at some point, or we'll have worked out something with Joe to have them in the shop, or might even release the files. Gosh, I don't know. Oh, Quadra 650. That's right.
There you go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a cute little thing, and it's maybe nice to have it in a little case, so that you can play around with it. So yeah, Pretty cool.
Nice.
Oh, and he says it's going to be a free download.
Oh, free download. That's even better.
So if you have a printer, you can make it yourself.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Gummom will have to let me know what I owe him for his largesse. So
Guppom is good people.
he is good people. I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud to call him my friend.
Indeed. I'm glad to call him my nemesis.
My Star Trek nemesis. Actually, I got one more thing that I'll show off.
My con to my Picard.
Oh, what? That's your con to your
whatever. Yeah, it's Shatner. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Star Wars is way better.
We're gonna get complaints for that. The other thing that I've been working on, but this is not the final design. This is not even near close to the final design. This doesn't need to be blown up or anything like that. But I'm also working on a cool new networking device for Macintosh. I'll figure out how to hold things one day. A cool little networking device for old Macintoshes. And hopefully there will be an update on this soon.
Trina's revoking my nerd card.
Oh no. But as many people know, the de minimis, depending on where you're from, is getting ready to take place here in these United States, and that will make everything in our hobby more expensive, because from capacitors to fully assembled products and things like that. So I, at the risk of getting political, call your congressperson and say, I do not support brinksmanship. We need to get something figured out ASAP, because a lot of people's income and livelihood is very much balanced on the edge of a knife right now. Between being able to continue in the hobby and make things for our friends and or not. I'm thankfully not one of those people. I do this largely as a hobby, but we do have people that we know and care about that are now like figuring, how am I going to do yes.
Speaking of which, I like my April 1st battery solution that I came up with several years ago. I am going to start wrapping wax paper, salt water, and aluminum foil into rolls to make capacitors. So
to sell for EVs.
Yes, for EV cars.
Yeah.
Super capacitors. That's what I call them.
Hand hewn.
Artisan capacitors.
Artisan.
Free range organic capacitor.
Yeah, these are grass fed.
Grass
the fire fed. That it starts will be fed by grass.
Yeah. In the Midwest, it'll be terrible.
So
that's how we get the second Dust Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to say that we're not going to spin up the manufacturing fast enough that this is not going to be extremely painful, because it affects everything you buy, from like cell phones and VCRs and hula hoops and I mean electronics for your kitchen. People don't think about
the fertilizer for your crops.
The fertilizer for your rented moving vans, whatever it is.
That's okay. We're gonna burn down all the forests, make our own potash.
Oh,
there you go. Nice.
You're just gonna burn Canada down. Don't lie.
I didn't reveal the plans. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Actually, it was funny. I got the plan sent to me in a Signal group chat. I don't know if I was supposed to be in there.
Oops. Reed brings up a point about there needing to be some manufacturing stuff in the U.S. and there is. Notch Park. Good luck affording that. That place is not set up.
The place down, is that the place that Tech Select was using, or Tech Select? It went there. The 8-bit guy went there, and they were going to get their machine made there, but it was way too expensive.
Yeah, there's no way. You can't do it, because they're looking for $500,000 in quantity on something that you're making. So that's the trouble, is that our hobby is largely what they would consider to be like
a hobby.
Hobbyist. It's a very niche thing. You're making a couple hundred of something once.
Yeah.
And they want to spin something up that's going to be a 6-year commitment, 500,000 units, something like that. And that will get the price down to still triple what you would pay at JLC PCB.
Right.
So.
I was gonna see if I could convince one of my crack house neighbors to use their bathtub to make PCBs.
Nice.
But
that was PCPs.
Yeah.
Well, that too. I'm sorry. Did I let that
crystal oscillators? Crystal meth?
Yeah,
Same thing.
right. Yeah.
Crystal methylators. Nice.
Crystal methylators.
Wow, this thing is really running at a gigahertz. It's great.
Along with the vapes.
We are very screwed.
Yeah, I hope that cooler heads prevail and that we can get to, regardless of who is in charge, because there are a lot of things going on right now with JLC. Like JLC PCB released a thing the other day that was basically like, we're going to start pre-taxing things just in case, and then you can pay the difference. Things like that. It doesn't matter who's in charge. They'll never go away. Citation, the prices of rental cars in the U.S. and the price of airline tickets. Pre-pandemic, it was you could $39 on a Sunday night to fly from California to New York. You could literally, you pick the right flight on a Sunday night, you could just fly for basically free. And that has not existed in quite a long time. The carrying capacity is the same. Nothing has changed. There's more people traveling now than ever, so there might be a slight scarcity issue. In reality, they're just actually filling flights. They were never filling flights at the $39, but those prices will never come back down. We'll never have 2019 air travel pricing again, even considering inflation. You're never going to see the $29 enterprise rent-a-car, rental fee with unlimited mileage.
You're never going to see the $20,000 car.
It's just done.
It doesn't exist anymore.
No,
not in North America.
No. So it's these guys have decided that it's like, we don't have to do the volume. They were all like, especially the rental car stuff, it's all volume. Nope, they sold all their cars during the pandemic. Those prices will never come back down. That is it. That's the new price. And it's the same thing.
I will say one thing too about government is the government very rarely removes the tax. Once it's in place, it very rarely takes it back.
It just depends. Who's the beneficiary?
Well, aren't we supposed to get checks?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't go there.
I'm still
only. Sorry, Eric. That's only if you're going to have a baby. We're going to give you $5,000 to have a baby.
A one-time,
$5,000, and it's still going to cost you what, $45,000 for the hospital stay?
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Well, I have to add it to my local community college financial scam to get loans.
Yeah.
So I could just make a lot of babies.
Well, it's been a fantastic evening, gentlemen.
Yeah,
we're at the 1 hour and 18 minutes.
I haven't seen you guys in a bit.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. We've had a few things. Zombie Jesus and the Pope died, so it's been pretty busy here in Catholic land. But all things are looking good. Hopefully, we get a new man in the position.
Are you going to make mention about the
J.D. Vance killing him?
No, I didn't say that. The Bishop of Jerusalem.
What about him? Oh, the Pizzaroni?
Yes.
He's fantastic Italian.
I know. I was like, I can't imagine how hairy this guy's arms are.
He's a super Italian.
Yeah.
Does he have a beard?
Level.
Well, when Mario gets the mushroom and gets really big, that's him.
I really hope that he's in the final contention, because I heard that if he is elected Pope, that every American Catholic will get breadsticks and a free 2-liter of Coke.
Yep, it's true. And
I might go Catholic just for that.
It's not holy water anymore. It's extra virgin olive oil, blessed and thrown.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I could convert. I mean, forget the Protestant thing. I'll just, it never happened.
I'm really concerned now that the host is going to be garlic bread.
Ooh, those wafers could use some seasoning.
it's like, Lord, you must have not had any problems with mosquitoes.
Yeah, they just completely ignored you.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to say really quickly, one of the cool things that they were talking about that they have to be weary of now is they have a technology, which they've had for a few years, where they can use a laser to listen to the vibrations of the Sistine Chapel window and hear the conversations inside. So the Vatican's actually taking like steps to prevent that type of thing from being able to happen, because it's obviously the conclave is very secretive. It has, and we don't know until we know, kind of thing. But as a news person, you think they to be able to report on who's in contention and who's won or maybe lost. That would be worth millions of dollars in news bucks.
Oh yeah, and
right,
and Pope betting.
Pope betting, yeah. Lucrative online Pope betting.
I heard though that they're cutting down on the vibration on the glass by using 95 theses to kind of just
just cover it up,
right? Over the window.
Yeah, like we didn't listen to this back in the day, but it makes great anti-vibration cover.
Yeah, it's we didn't listen to it back then, and now nobody's listening to us now.
Yeah, and we're just use these other books from the Bible that we just said don't really exist. They just kind of, they go up there good. Yeah. Anyway,
leftovers from the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah, exactly. The bird cage dropping catchers of the meeting. Anyway, have a fantastic evening, guys. We'll see you next week. We know you have your choice in Friday evening things. Good night.
Good night.